YouTube, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We've taken a little break from the videos, and it's because I'm in between a move. So I'm in a little bit of a different office right now, but still have an important video for you today looking at wrapped Bitcoin. There's $1 billion of Bitcoin that's living on Ethereum, and tons of you, I saw it in the comments after my most recent podcast, asking what is wrapped Bitcoin in the simplest way? What's the easiest explanation? Because there's $1 billion of Bitcoin now living on Ethereum with people that want to earn yield. You might have heard of yield farming or DeFi and all these terms. How does wrapped Bitcoin fit in? Tokenized Bitcoin. People are moving their Bitcoin, tokenizing it, letting it live on Ethereum so they can start yield farming and earning other tokens and starting to get that return that they had to use centralized options for before. So I asked this in a recent podcast, and for those of you who don't want to watch the full episode but want a very quick answer, what is wrapped Bitcoin, what is tokenized Bitcoin, and how you can make money on it, I made a little short clip from the podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Like I said, a lot more videos on the way. I've just been in between apartments. But regardless, I wanted to get this video out because a lot of you have been asking. So here is a short segment from the podcast. What is wrapped Bitcoin? Everything you need to know. Simple terms, easy to understand. Hope you guys enjoy the clip, and I'll see you on the next video. The easiest place to start is what's the simplest way to describe a wrapped Bitcoin?
Yeah, so terminology is actually really important here. So I think if you come into the DeFi space and you say the words wrapped Bitcoin, people are going to think WBTC, which is a very specific version of wrapped Bitcoin. I think the more general term that's a little more precise is tokenized Bitcoin. Wrapped Bitcoin has kind of been associated with BitGo's version of a tokenized Bitcoin, which they call wrapped Bitcoin. Since they were the first ones, they just got to call it like WBTC wrapped Bitcoin because there was no one else in the namespace. So they said, all right, we're wrapped Bitcoin. And basically what the BitGo version of it, and BitGo is a pretty well-trusted custodian of Bitcoin. And so what they did is they just made an ERC20 token. And then they said that this ERC20 token is redeemable for real Bitcoin, right? And so they are acting as a crypto bank where you deposit your Bitcoins into the BitGo custodian, and then you get redeemed an ERC20 token on the other side that BitGo and a federation of 14 other multi-sig signers will say that they will give you one for one, right? And so that's their value add, that's their product, right? Like you deposit Bitcoins on the one side and you get this ERC20 token, which is a claim on Bitcoin on the other side.
Sure.
And like this has, some really awesome advantages, right? It's very easy. It's easy to get out the market. If you're a custodian, all this really is for you is for more work for you is make a multi-sig, which you know how to do, and then issue an ERC20 token on Ethereum, which is trivial. And so like, as far as getting out the door, that's easy, right? And as far as, risks and security, I also think it's actually pretty strong if you're okay with trusting BitGo, right? And the federation, right? And so this is not unlike trusting a bank, right? Generally, like we shit on banks in this world.
Yeah.
But, generally at the end of the day, like banks are a regulated financial institution. So like when it comes to safety net and protection and consumer protections, like I generally think that's safe. However, that you also, as the small fry individual, can't go to BitGo with like your 0.5 Bitcoin and say, "Hey, please tokenize my Bitcoin for me."
Yeah.
Like, no, they don't answer to you. Like big orders only, like wholesale wrapped Bitcoin only.
Okay.
And then you also have to pass KYC with them as well. So like, there's some trade-offs here. And so that's that's wrapped BitGo. Do you want me to pause there before I go on to the other versions?
Yeah, because when I think of wrapped Bitcoin, that makes sense that BitGo calls that kind of their version of wrapped Bitcoin. What other types of tokenized Bitcoin are out there? I know you've spoken with or worked with some of the teams, and if they're all kind of trying to solve the same thing, I think it'll give a better understanding if we understand what they're all doing. We don't have to we don't have to go into all the nuances of each one, but just someone understanding wrapped Bitcoin equals tokenized Bitcoin equals kind of what else they're seeing. There's a few companies doing this, correct?
Yeah. So the next big one that is today out in the market that you as the individual can take your Bitcoin on the Bitcoin blockchain and then in a transaction move it over to Ethereum. You can do this with RenBTC.
Okay.
And this is a little bit more of the crypto economic sci-fi trustless future that we are trying to strive for, right? And very strong asterisk on RenBTC is that it's not there yet, right? Like you are trusting individuals because there is a gap in their code where you are ultimately trusting some people with some private keys to do the right thing. Now, the vision for Ren BTC is to be this fully decentralized, fully anti-fragile system for porting tokens over. And the way that Ren BTC does this is that it takes a Bitcoin private key, and then it kind of creates a multi-sig, but it makes an off-chain multi-sig. So it takes a single non-multi-sig private key from Bitcoin, and then it puts it into the Ren protocol, and through some multi-party computation, fractures it into like thousands of different owners, right? Okay. And the owners of this one single private key, through some cryptographic zero-knowledge magic that is way over my head, if you purchase the Ren token and stake the Ren token, you are a part of that signing group. Like, that's generally the gist of it. Okay. I did a podcast with a team way back when on POV Crypto where they kind of explained it to us. But the important thing to note is that this security assumptions isn't complete. There's still centralized control over this protocol. And so it doesn't completely align with the Bitcoiner ethos of, don't trust, verify. Because you are trusting the team. However, as an individual, you can, without KYC, you can get your Bitcoin from Bitcoin blockchain to Ethereum blockchain using their website, and it takes the time of a couple Bitcoin blocks, right? And so then you'll get Ren BTC minted onto your Ethereum wallet of choice on the Ethereum blockchain, and then you have Ren BTC. And then that Ren BTC can be leveraged in various DeFi applications.
Okay, perfect. I want to get into that next, what we can actually do with the wrapped or the tokenized Bitcoin, but just at a higher level so that I understand, and for people that can't keep up with all the lingo, the basic transaction that's happening is you're either sending your Bitcoin to a custodian or you're sending your Bitcoin to a certain address, and then in exchange for that, you're getting a tokenized version of that Bitcoin, and now that lives on Ethereum. Right. How does it keep track of the price? How do these two things continue to be, hopefully, the same value?
Right. So traders and arbitragers, right? And so they should be tracking the same price because people trust in their creditability. And so if you have a Ren BTC on Ethereum, you should be able to go backwards through the bridge and then get your actual Bitcoins. And so if there's a price discrepancy, someone will take care of that arbitrage, right? Okay. And therefore, generally, arbitrage doesn't really get too far out of whack because people will price these things appropriately, right? And so there is Ren BTC on Uniswap, which Uniswap is currently doing more volume than Coinbase, which is just insane. And a decent amount of that volume
wait, hold on. I don't want to cut you off. What did you just say? Ren's
yeah. Well, no, not Ren BTC itself. All of Uniswap.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, if Ren BTC, I am completely out of the loop. Then that's insane. Yeah, okay, Uniswap makes sense.
Yeah. And then, so the tokenized wrapped versions of Bitcoin on Uniswap are a part of that volume. No, they're not all of the volume that beats Coinbase, but they're a pretty strong component of it. Yep. And so there's some decent volume there. And so then you can trade Bitcoin against your preferred stable coin, be it USDC, DAI, or whatever. So that's how there becomes liquidity for Bitcoin on Ethereum. And then there's also an exchange called Balancer, which is like Uniswap, but instead of 2 tokens, it's many tokens. And so then there are different versions of wrapped Bitcoin inside of Balancer. So there's Ren BTC, WBTC, some smaller versions like Pi BTC that I actually don't understand. Yeah. And so all these kind of balance out. And so traders will arbitrage between those to make sure all those wrapped Bitcoins are balanced in between each other. And then that's also referencing the outside market rate. So it's just a network of arbitragers and traders that are keeping everything, at parity.
So that's That's the clip. It should explain everything you need to know about tokenized Bitcoin. If you want to watch the full episode, obviously you can do that. The link is right down below. I just want to bring you guys these short clips for people that don't like to listen to a full podcast, but still want the most important information about what's happening in the crypto market. I have one more thing for you before you go, and I really need you to do this. Download the Crypto.com app on your phone. It's free to get set up. It's the best crypto mobile app. You can buy Bitcoin, and they have a feature called DeFi Swap. It's the best place to swap your assets, farm, and earn yield up to 20%. You can boost those returns pretty nicely. So download the app on your phone, free to get set up. They sponsor these videos so I can bring you guys the best information. That's all I got. I'll see you in the next video. We're talking about how you can actually use that tokenized Bitcoin to make some money. I'll see you guys in the next one.